Welcome everybody, one and all, to Rivals uh Freak. Rivals Reacts. I don't remember. That's Rivals Rundown. I always butcher the name. That's all right. That could be a running gag, I guess. But welcome everybody back to Rivals Rundown. We're gonna be going over the week 5 power rankings and looking ahead at week 6. My name is Righteous. Joining with me as always for these is CB. CB, how you doing tonight? We'll see how it going. Oh, okay. He's pulling our legs. Yeah, so as always, we start off with a look back at the week previous, see where everybody's lining up in terms of the standings.
It
And then
defaults
we'll
my
jump
mic
into
to default. I'm good now. I don't know why it takes my microphone off. I wasn't muted. It just had the wrong input.
Oh
It's
yeah,
okay.
I mean, yep, sure.
Classic.
Anyway, CB said he's doing good.
Yeah.
We always start with a look back at what happened last week, and then we'll get ahead into the power rankings and everything like that. So, or the predictions and then the power rankings. I don't know. You guys know the drill. You watch this more than I do. I'm here
We're
so
just
I don't
here,
get fined.
just hanging out.
Yep.
Hop into the standings.
Um. Yep.
All right.
Standings. Yep. Let's do that. So there you have the Sector 1 on the left, Sector 2 on the right, and then last week's results. Um,
It's getting.
Anything standing out to you? The biggest thing for me is that Sector 2 got a dub in the cross division matchup. 2-0 was desperately needed for them.
Which was who?
OSGS versus OSGA.
Yeah. True.
That was
Okay.
like a double. That was a double victory for them. It was Sector 2 beating Sector 1, and it was Sub-Zero beating Avalanche in the Civil War.
Hmm.
I mean, other than that, I guess for me is the race for playoffs in Sector 2 is actually starting to heat up because really any of these teams could still get second or third seed and avoid the play-in.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. What do we have? Three regular season games left.
Yeah.
I guess technically dropping point could sneak up in there. Uh, I don't know. I'll
Yeah.
have to look at the
Could.
actual schedule to see how likely that one is. But yeah,
Not
fourth, fifth seed on
likely.
both sides. It's gonna be a battle for who misses the play-ins. Of course, I think Sector One's. I guess not technically locked in, but it feels like Sector One's kind of locked in as far as the top five.
I think they I mean, I guess well, I don't know because I don't know who plays each other.
Yeah,
It
well,
feels pretty locked.
yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah. So for DP, for those of you that are curious, they get the free win coming up here against Contingent in 2 weeks. And then they have Roar and Sub-Zero on the schedule, which is
Doable.
um
Doable.
doable, but they would need some help,
Yeah,
obviously.
I mean the
Like
RAR head-to-head obviously would with the
they would
CE free win that would tie them up, and RAR plays no veracity, so that also helps them
yeah,
out.
yeah. That would be I mean, DP has to win this week or they're out, basically. Because they need Roar to lose out, I think. Um, Roar or Veracity, I guess. So
Yeah,
the easiest pass for them is beating Roar and then Roar losing to Veracity and then losing to BLM,
yeah.
which honestly it
Feels
could
like
happen.
yeah, it feels
So
like it's in DP's hands pretty much.
yeah,
They win this
well,
week. There's a somewhat of a chance.
it's in their hands to keep it alive, right? They have to win this week, otherwise it's tough for them.
Hmm.
I think if they lose, they're probably out on paper.
Yeah,
Um, but
pretty close.
you know, if you're gonna pick up a win, you might as well do it when it matters, right?
Hmm.
So I don't know. Anything else for you?
I mean, it's gonna be. I still don't know for sure. I don't know if it's even something we can check, or if it's still just to be determined on how playoffs actually works once there are 8 teams left. Like, is it? I assume it has to be like Sector One,
I don't know.
Hanoi versus Sector Two, fourth seed. or like first seed versus fourth seed. Sorry, we got
I would
Death
assume
Knight
that
doing the ice
it's.
machine in the background for some reason.
I would assume that it's cross division, but that's just me assuming. Um, I know Vish had said after week 6 the playoff bracket will be released. Don't quote me on that. That's just something that I might have read at some
Mm.
point or another.
Yeah. I mean, it makes the most sense. Surely it's cross division. That'd suck for all of Sector 1 if it wasn't cross division.
Yeah, true. That'd be the very hard play end game. Um, I don't know. Any more time
Uh,
on this? I think if you,
anything that stuck out from the what actually happened down there on the bottom as far as who beat who? Any
the
crazy upsets?
TDB TFF, I think lived up to the hype. I thought it was gonna be a close one, and from the looks of it, it was. If you were able to watch some of the VODs, um, wasn't the cleanest series from either of the teams, but they were definitely pushing each other to the limit, so that was good. BLM Veracity, I think. Uh, I don't know.
As
You guys were
expected.
talking about it in the Discord that well, you're a little surprised that Veracity lost. When I look at my stuff on my end, stats wise, it seemed like BLM was a little bit favored, but it was close. So,
I feel like
uh,
we had both maybe put 2-1, but I think I had no veracity. You had BLM. I'm not for sure. Don't quote me on that.
I don't know.
Um,
You guys can watch it back and look, but um, yeah, I think when we get into, because like for a couple weeks now, it's been a lot of 2-0s. I
mm-hmm.
think coming up in these last couple of weeks, it's gonna be there's a lot stiffer competition in terms of like who's matching up against who. Um, maybe not this week for Sector 1, but week 7 and 8, it really heats up for Sector 1. So
Yeah.
we'll see. All right. How much time we got? Do we have enough time to run through the
Oh yeah. Yeah.
predictions real fast? Okay.
Let's go for it.
Um, so we got NLE, PLW, which do we wanted to like talk a little bit
just,
about
just
what's
off rip.
going on over at PLW or
Which team? Pick a team. Pick a team.
well, I
Yeah.
mean, I think NLE's a really good squad. Like somebody was talking about like how I thought Sector 1 matched up. I said I probably have NLE 1, us 2, and then TDB 3. But like if you asked me what this matchup would look like 2 weeks ago, I would say this is like the matchup for like a good shot at first place. Now I think it would be, if you're NLE, pretty disappointing if you don't get the win, especially because PLW's using the E sub in the jungle. Um,
Which is crazy.
so
Crazy because
I
there was the whole like I could have swore POW was making a jungle and a top
there's a whole what?
change.
Sorry, you keep cutting out. I don't
What?
know what's going on.
Nah, that's all you. I could have swore PLW was gonna make a jungle and top change, but it doesn't. Based on who's projected to play this week, play tomorrow, it looks like it's just gonna be a PLW jungle change with an E sub, which is insane to us, or to me. Sorry. Kicking off what seemed to be the chillest, calming, most calms player that you had going on. But hey, what do I know?
I think, I mean, I don't know like the whole ins and outs of PLW. I'm assuming these are players that have played a little bit together. I know, Star Burrito wasn't even supposed to be the starter at the beginning of the year, and then kind of just stepped
Yeah.
up because New News in Paris went, I don't know, AFK or something. Who knows? Um, getting a glimpse into what the comms looked like and the overall vibe of what was happening when they were playing against us. I would not be envious of the E sub jungler, because what's the rules for LXC here?
Yeah, is it
And
3?
is it 3?
I don't know.
Uh,
Feels
chat,
like
let us know. Is it 3 people that
lose
or
3
three
bands.
three bans you lose for ESUB first three. Either way, I mean, you're gonna be starting the series in a hole. If you think draft is important, and then on top of that, like PLW seems to be kind of stressing out, at least some of the members. Um, and then like you said, there was a whole thing of whether Neptune or not was gonna play this week. Nike was hinting at a new top laner, him going top. So I think if you're going from like an outsider's perspective, the vibes seem very off for Plasma Wolves, while NLE seems like they're clicking just fine. Um, and then on paper too, like I think they match up just as good. It's always hard to turn around a losing streak, and like I said, I think if you're NLE, you're disappointed if you don't pick up a dub here.
Yeah, it feels like if you're gonna, you have to pick up the win because the PLW is on a back-to-back 0-2 loss. Granted, in my opinion, against two good teams. So I don't know. Is PLW just cooked and they're gonna go 0-2 the rest of the games? Probably not. Do they bounce back and make it a battle for who actually? Because they can still get first seed. So
Yeah,
they're
they
still
could.
in the running for that. I don't know. Losing two bans against a good team is tough. Um, but I don't know, at the same time, both teams have a crybaby on their team with weak mentals, so it's like just depending on how they want to play it.
Uh, yeah, maybe. I don't look at the end of the day. In your opinion, you talk about PLW still being a good team. Do you really think they are at this point, or do you
I,
think
I
it's kind of
didn't
like
I didn't get to see really who they picked up for jungle. So assuming it's a strong jungler, um, then yeah, they can just like everybody mental reset. So it just kind of depends on how. I mean, who's the captain in the room talking to the team, figuring that out. So I
it
think
doesn't
they
seem
can
like they
bounce
have
back.
one?
I mean, maybe it's just bad vibes all around. So um,
I
I don't know.
just
NLE
looking at those
has no
comps.
real in-game weakness. It
Here's
doesn't seem so. I don't know.
here's what I think. If NLE comes out and just punches PLW in the throat game one, especially with them not having two bans, like I think this will be the last week you see Neptune. Like that's just 100% being honest. Especially because like you kicked off your jungler, had a whole week to pick up somebody, and instead you're sitting with a E sub. Like that's tough.
Yeah,
Like
that's weird. Like you had days and days to pick somebody up. So that's I don't know. Is that captain diff or maybe they were thinking they were gonna do something else?
I
But
don't know.
I don't know. I was thinking about it because like why would you kick off what seemed at least the little snippets we could see, um, the most calming, best comms player? My guess is, I mean, if I put myself in the shoes of like if you were on my team and you were acting like the top laner and I had some like random person I didn't know on the team and they were
Yeah.
clashing, I guess I would kick off the random person. So
Yeah.
maybe it was one of those situations where it's like we're here to play with friends. I don't know. Um, we're just getting the outside glimpse of it. So we'll see. Maybe their E-sub is just like a E3 player that's gonna hard stomp.
Maybe. I think so. I know from inside sources, PLW only scrims once a week, and their coach isn't even there when they do it. They have no VOD review, and then at the end of the day, it doesn't seem like this coach really knows what he's talking about. So all that considered, like, are we even sure that they've even played with this jungler before? Like, I just, I think it's gonna be an LE 2-0. There is a world where I think Plasma Wolves could probably pick up a win, but I think it would have to be game one if
Yeah, that
NLE
makes
comes
sense.
in like overconfident or something. But
Mm-hmm.
I like I don't know. Plasma Wolves I think shot themselves in the foot, especially not picking up a like an actual rostered player before the matches. And like you lose here in a very tough sector. I mean, I feel like a lot of this could have been avoided. I'm a fan of once you start a season, like if you have like a solid five that you've been rocking, I think you should finish up the season with those, especially because like you're not out of first place, right? Like there's still a world where Plasma Wolves could have turned it around
Yeah.
and won. I say could have as if I'm like writing them off, which I don't know at this point. Maybe I am,
What's
because
yeah, but I
I
mean,
don't know.
Sector
It's
One,
tough.
while it is stacked, uh, you pretty much are almost guaranteed a spot in the play-in. Not
Yeah.
guaranteed, but I mean, it's kind of shaping up that way. So they have weeks to figure it out, and are still going to get a play-in shot at playoffs. So I mean, they can lose 2 of their next 3 games. Now, do you want to go on a 4-loss streak? Probably not. But they still have
Yeah,
time to figure it out.
just ask HPB how that feels. I don't know. I
Yeah.
mean, I like. I think. I think having 2 rough weeks, going 0-4, obviously you're like, maybe we need to change some stuff up. I don't think the way that they did it is the right way. I think at some point you have to like really sit down and be like, okay, like what is our philosophy when approaching the game, and is it not meshing with how we want to play? Because I mean, we played against them, and I was told that they thought it was going to be an easy 2-0, and they didn't look like they deserved to be on the same rift as us, and that's putting it like kindly.
True.
So
True. True.
I don't
True.
know.
They got time. They got time. We'll see. Tough. They have a tough 3-game stretch. So I don't know. NLE has an opportunity to stay at the number 1 in Sector 1. So yeah, I think I'd agree with you with the NLE 2-0 prediction, just because PLW is on a bad streak, and it's going to be tough if they go 0-6 in a row.
All right, there you have it. Moving on, I think our game's up next. We don't talk about predictions when it comes to rivals games. I will say I will be very disappointed if we lose this game.
It's one of those ones where like you can't act like it's just free, just because of standings or whatever. So agree, everything looks like it's in our favor, but I don't know. I'm not gonna act like it's a freebie.
Yeah, I mean, also, by the way, I didn't mention it on the last one. The plasma was gold per minute looked off, but it's what was given to me, so that's what I rolled with. I don't know if it's correct, but like looking at the gold per minute between these 2 teams, and pretty much just everything when it comes to objectives. Like I think OSGA is fine in lane, um, minus probably the mid. But then after that, it's just like it seems like you got 5 solo queue players playing, which is unfortunate. Um, so if you're OSGA, I think you come into this like upset in mind, but if it doesn't work out, you just kind of learn from it. So
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see you tomorrow on this one.
yeah, we will see.
Another
Last
Sector
one.
1.
Yeah, last one for Sector 1. Uh, I don't know, man. Do you want to talk about like what happened to HPB? Like what? I mean, looking at this matchup, I mean,
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't
It's
know what
probably
there is to talk about.
a team that I was decently high on at the very beginning. Yeah, it just seems like they have just had a rough go of it all split, or all season, I guess. And then TD, on the other hand, really solid team. Obviously has an opportunity still to be first seed. So it's going to be a tough one. It's not really one where it's like, oh, HPB has a chance to climb their way back up to a playoff spot. I don't know. They have swapped around a few times. I think they're running back the same thing they did last week, which is probably their best lineup, maybe. But no, I don't know. TD's looking solid all around, so I expect a 2-0 for TD.
Yeah, I mean, so here's a stat for you. HPB won their first 3 games. They 2-0'd their first week, then won the first one against us. Since then, has only won 1 game. Not 1 match, 1 game, and they seem like they're trying everything like conceivable in terms of roster configuration. I don't know, like 2 weeks ago, Q was jungle. This last week, Red Sharky, who's usually usual mid laner, went support. Like they're experimenting, and I'll give them credit. They're trying to pick up wins, but tough sector. TDB looks like they're on fire right now. They've gotten, in my opinion, they've looked stronger as the season has gone on. Game, I think it was game 2 on stream was a little rough for them, but everyone gets 1 game a week,
Yeah.
right? So I would say TDB is pretty heavily favored. I'll go. Here's I guess I'll go with like a hot take. I'll go 2-1 only because if TDB drafts Azir again, HPB should win.
What the hell? No, they watched
That's
pro play this weekend. They got better. They're
yeah, true,
chilling.
true. Um, that's my if they don't draft Azir, I think it's a TDB 2-0.
Okay, okay, okay. Maybe HPB can bait him into it.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't know how you bait that, but
Hmm.
all right. No cross sector matchup, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I
It
can
was supposed
see.
to be contingent. Yeah, and they've since departed. So right into sector 2. Uh, DP and Roar. If there's gonna be a an upset, it'll be this week. It'll be DP. I feel like DP's due for a win. They've taken off games off of pretty much everybody except for OTLO. It feels like. Uh, I don't know. CB, who you got? What's your thinking here?
I also think I think it's DP if Fifi plays. If he doesn't, I think it's RAR. I think Fifi is the deciding factor. I think he might have played 2 roles so far. Maybe not. Maybe he's played jungle both times, but
I think he's I think he's played jungle both times. I think one they split. He didn't play both games
okay,
or
maybe that's what
something.
it is. Okay, but I think if Fifi plays, they win. Uh, I mean, I might even mess around and go a little 2-0 action. Obviously, I think
Whoa, that's
RAR has a
crazy.
strong top side, so it just depends on how that goes. But I don't know. Maybe it's partially rooting for DP. I gave RAR 3 or 4 chances and they kept letting me down. So this week I'm gonna rock with DP in their big chance to climb up into playoff. Start the climb up into playoffs. So I'll go with DP with a spicy 2-0.
Uh, I mean, I like the Fifi take. Did you talk about our man Ghost 7?
Nah, nah,
Showing up on the Ezreal. I don't know.
true.
I like Rico. Rico seems like he's like a solid like foundational. I'm showing up every week. I'm playing. I don't know why he couldn't play last week. But if Ghost 7 plays again, I think similar to like Fifi, I think they have a they could throw Raw a curveball and I think they might play better too. Um I don't know if I would go 2-0 to be honest, but uh I'll I'll go 2-1 Roar. I just both of these you got question marks around jungle and ADC for DP. You got question marks about pretty much the whole roster for Roar except for top.
Yeah,
Cuz you never know what Doki's cooking. I'll go 2-1 Roar. If Doki plays, maybe it's 2-0 for DP. I don't know.
I
I
mean they
mean,
won with him. They
Doki
won.
won. Yeah, Doki's I mean undefeated so far in Sentinel.
Yeah,
So I just the thing that scares me for DP is um Feathers is a really good top laner on his champs, and it seems like for whatever reason when people play Roar they won't ban away said champs.
yeah,
And Angry's been kind of like a roller coaster for DP, and I could see him not having a fun time into Feathers. But other than
true.
that, like across the board, I think I think they stack up well. Maybe not as favored as Roar, like in terms of individual skill. Um, but Roar's won one series, and I don't even know who they're gonna play. I don't even know if they know who they're gonna play.
I can check. I
Uh,
think they might have posted it by now. It's gonna
but
be Feathers, Moistening, Stink Pickle, Macho, and Adrian for
okay.
RAR. So no Doki in the lineup this week. It's
And
risky.
Macho comes back in for
Yeah,
AD. I don't know. I mean, it's a totally different roster than their win 2 weeks ago. They've had it. I mean, it's tough. It is tough. This one is like such a toss up. The more I think about it, I'm gonna go 2-1 Roar, just because DP hasn't shown a reason to bet towards them. But I think it's like as close to a 50-50 as we can get.
that's fair. That's fair. That's fair.
All right, lead us in, CB.
We have no veracity versus OSG Sub Zero. Um, both teams safely, I'd say, in the playoff conversation for Sector 2.
Yeah.
No Veracity coming off the loss from BLM, and Sub-Zero coming off the Civil War win. This feels like one of the closest, maybe other than the NLE PLW game, this feels like it's going to be a super close game.
Yeah, I would say so as well. So looking at the wins, Sub-Zero has picked up. They picked up the FF against CEW. They picked up the Civil War against OSGA, who might be the worst team in the league. And then they beat, was it Roar week one? Yeah, they beat Roar week one, 2-1. So if you're looking at like strength of record, Sub-Zero does not have like a quality win, in my opinion. Meanwhile, Veracity's played a pretty tough schedule. Of course, losing to BLM, gonna look to bounce back. Uh,
Didn't they have the? I thought they had a win. That was a good win, or did they not have a quality win either? They beat
Veracity,
DPH.
they beat DPH in the Rivals Week, or not right. They beat
They beat DPH. They got the CE free win and the RAR win. Oh wait, no, I'm tripping. Do they
who
have
did
two?
they
Oh, they only have 2 wins,
play?
right? They only have 2 wins.
Yeah, they only beat DPH in the free win, so
Okay, so neither team has a quality win.
neither team has a quality win. So I'm gonna go off paper here. The stats are telling me that it's gonna be Veracity favored because I think they might have uh, two carry potentials as opposed to OSGS. I'm gonna go Veracity 2-1. Uh, I don't know though, because like I would say Veracity's topside favored, but bot side OSGS looks pretty strong with Dorsky and Cheese. So I'll go 2-1. I think both of these teams really want to get the win because they don't want to play the play-in game, and I think Veracity pulls it out 2-1.
Okay. I mean, I don't want to copy paste, uh, but I've been rooting low key for no Veracity. Um, like you said, neither one of them really have quality wins, but Veracity almost took the game over BLM.
Game off
Uh,
us.
Took a game off us. Yeah, true. So yeah, I'd agree. No Veracity 2-1. Wouldn't be surprised either way. Isn't yeah? Sub-Zero does have one win over No Veracity, so they will extend that gap if they can pick up the win. But I think No Veracity ties it up in 2-1 wins.
Yeah, I mean Sub-Zero if they win, I think they kind of solidify themselves in top three for
Yeah.
Sector 2. If they lose though, every
Hmm.
game will matter after that. Last game, OTLO versus BLM. OTLO, I think, pretty clear consensus, the strongest team in the league. BLM, BLM's kind of like doing the HPB thing where they've moved everybody around since playing against us, and they picked up the win. They picked up a win on Timo too, which is crazy.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, they playing Fearless or something? What are they doing?
I don't know. Maybe it's a strong and best counter. Either way, I think BLM could put up a fight, but I would say it's overwhelmingly OTLO favored. I'm gonna go OTLO 2-0. They've 2-0'd everybody in Sector 2 and Sector 1 so far that they played, and I don't really see a reason why they shouldn't this week.
I think if OTLO really feeling disrespectful and not practicing, not doing anything, thinking it's a free win, I think
Well,
BLM could get
yeah,
spicy
dude.
with it.
Let's talk about that.
I mean, it's a gap game. You got PLW next week.
Well, I mean, let's talk about it. Corrupt off the roster. I totally forgot.
Oh yeah, true.
Uh, which I mean, one of the
Dude,
better
I mean, was it not
performing
predicted? Did we not
mids.
predict that? Did
Oh
we not
yeah,
predict that preseason?
I was gonna look up the clip
Oh yeah.
beforehand. I said by the end of the season, Corrupt would be off the roster, but at the same time, so let me choose my words carefully here. I've interacted with Corrupt, and I know how hard it can be to interact with him as an individual. That's just no flame. That is just me being honest. It's really hard to talk to Corrupt. At the same time, they were having success with him in mid. I don't think he was the best mid laner. Um, and I think the Lord JK is probably an upgrade, but there's always a question mark about taking a team that's been undefeated and putting in a new piece, right? Because I think OTLO had a pretty strong identity of our jungler is going to carry us in the early game, and then our bot lane with our jungler is going to carry us in the team fights. But Kikino's out for this foreseeable future with their Pylum Mirialis going to be playing ADC, so that's another new thing. He looked good last week, and I think he's a pretty skilled player. But there's some movement when it seemed like everything was clicking for them. So it's a curveball. At the same time, I say all this, I still think it's an OTL 2-0. But it's just interesting. It's interesting to see from the outside.
Yeah, I also forgot they had two different players this game. I think Pelum is gonna be fine. He's popping off top lane. He's gonna be fine. AD carry. Mid, I've played with Lord JK, so good player to play with. So I don't, again, agree. I agree. I don't think they downgrade really, especially if it's a lot better vibes in the chat, So that always goes a long way, also. So it's tough. I want to give the upset prediction, but I just can't really bet against OTLO, given how they've played this split. I am gonna give them. I'm gonna give them a 2-1. I'm gonna give them a 2-1 because
Okay.
I think BLM's they put some stuff together. So I mean, I'm gonna put a little bit of respect on BLM, maybe OTLO either. Just playing a little relaxed game one, or if they win game one, a little relaxed game two, and BLM comes out. But yeah, I'm thinking a 2-1 BLM gets spicy one of the games.
Fair enough. I mean, if there's gonna be a time the OTL loses, probably incorporating this new mid laner. Either way, I think they're still favored. But that's it for predictions, I think, right? There's no more teams, no more games.
That is it for
6 games.
The predictions. Yeah. So we are gonna go to a quick break. And I don't know if you want to do a poll or how you want to pick which role is going to go first.
I mean, Poodle was the first one on here and said we should do supports first because they're here
true,
early.
I forgot that.
So
True. Okay. I mean, best role first.
We'll just do supports because that was specifically requested.
Okay.
But we'll do that right after the break.
Cool.
Welcome back, everybody. My name is Righteous. That's CB. You're here for your week 5 power rankings of LXC Sentinel.
Yep.
Let's get into it. Special request. We're starting with support.
Best roll.
Best roll, CB. Knows that the team doesn't go anywhere without the support, so we'll start off with them. Do you want me to run through what they were last week?
I sure don't.
Real fast. What?
I sure don't.
Is that what you said? All right, let's go. Let's just go into it. Number 13, Billy Butthole reemerging, making another appearance. He didn't play last or 2 weeks ago.
I know. It's just a wild sentence.
But yeah, he's back. Unfortunately, he's at number 13.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it kind of seems like whoever they put at the support for now, and maybe a decent amount of their roles. It's kind of where they are until they pick up a win, and hopefully that's not this week.
Hopefully it's not this week. Oh yeah, because we're playing him. Makes sense. I was like, dang, dude. Yeah, didn't have the greatest showing, especially the Hoy pick looked rough. So Billy is at 13. You got to keep these guys rolling. I got to shorten the time between the two. Or between the slides. But at number 12, gonna be Penny 743, moved down, I think.
Yeah, from
even
10.
those
Because the bye.
A bye week, and so you don't really get a chance to like kind of like prove your mettle. And then of course not gonna be playing next week. It's gonna be Adrian instead. We just left him there because that was the last support appearance for Roar.
Yeah, we'll see if Adrian can bump up the support list. So a lot of room ahead. We'll
keep it going. Number 11.
Penny again. Who knows?
We'll see. So number 11 last week was Never Knows Best. This week it is Brute Souls 166 who rose. Sorry, I apologize. From number 12. A 1 spot bump. BLM picking up that win. Good to see.
Good 2-1 win. I had him a little slightly higher. Had a decent little Lux game 3. For their 2-1 victory over VCY. So, nice little pairing with the Kate bot lane. Moved up 1 spot. I think it was just tough to move other people down, but going in the right direction.
Yeah, did look kind of tough in game 2. So game 2 comparison, they played Scarlet and Veracity. Scarlet went 1-4-30.
Yeah.
Brute Souls went 2-8-11. So I mean, the bump up is nice. I think it's deserved. Those two teams play like 10 games. Do you think it just is 5-5 between the two of them? I don't know. Maybe.
I can see that. Yeah. Yeah. It seems like they're pretty evenly-ish matched.
Yeah, maybe Veracity gets the win if they had the foresight to ban Teemo. Either way, number 10 on our support power rankings list.
It's gonna be Dorsky from OSGS.
Went down ranking despite picking up a win. I think
part
of that. I think part of that is there was some new names, I think, or the people ahead of them went down, and it was hard to make him higher than them.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
'Cause I think support for maybe HP.
Yeah, HP is different,
so it kind of got weird. Yeah, I don't know. I remember doing at least my rankings, and yeah, there were a few that were like, it doesn't make sense.
I don't know. It didn't drop very far. It was 1 spot, so at the end of the day, it's pretty similar. But Dorsey did get the win against the OSGA counterpart, Billy. Looked pretty impressive doing it. Pulling out the Blitzcrank and making it work when they went Galio. It was good to see. and then Tarek Enjoyer as well.
With the
Uh,
Kled in the
oh,
bot
yeah,
lane.
with the Kled bot, which is
Yeah.
crazy. So,
I've seen
but
them
yeah,
before.
Dorsky gets a well-deserved win. Unfortunately, moves down a spot, but not that big of a deal in my opinion. We're gonna move on.
Number 9, my lord. Ooh. Take it away.
Um, Quite a big hit. We can. This is kind of a shocker probably for a lot of people. Uh, the stats were very high on Aoka, and then they weren't after this week. So it was a rough week for Plasma Wolves. Rough 2 weeks actually,
Yeah.
and definitely got hit in the stats department. I don't know where you ended up putting Aoka,
This
but
one was
has
definitely tough, but I had them at 6. It was
yeah, kind of this middle
support was kind
third
of tough.
area.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was tough to justify really anybody in the top 4-ish area. But yeah, I think Aok is good, but I don't know. Our bands have been good, and obviously they've had kind of a interesting couple of games, so potential to bounce back once they figure out the roster.
Yeah, we will have to see. But I don't know, maybe they're not correctly ranked, maybe not. If they can bounce back, I'm sure Aoka will rise up the rankings once again. But we got Scarlet coming in at number 8. Uh, has fallen yet again from 6 to 8. Veracity's kind of weird in that like Scarlet seems like she performs well, like in terms of like what you look for in a support, even in the losses. So this is, I think, to be honest, probably more of like a team performance thing that's kind of hurting Scarlett's cause. Because I think she was still top 4 in the stats. So
Really
when you lose, you're gonna get dinged.
true, true. Yeah, yeah. Some decent showings this week. Obviously, lost to BLM and Brute Souls. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
naturally you're gonna fall a little bit. So just from 6 to 8, nothing too crazy.
Yeah, just a little bit of a 2-point dip at number 7. Like what we like to call the top of the bottom half. Never knows best. Rising. Um, Despite the loss from 11 all the way to 7.
Yeah,
Um,
I think had some good showings, right? That's probably why I
has
put
had some
them
good
high, honestly.
showings. Stats have him at 7. I don't know. I think you had him at 7 as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Makes
So
sense.
yeah, stats and CB bias lining up correctly. I'm just kidding.
What the hell?
Yeah, I think never knows best. I mean, honestly, when DP looks good, when they're picking up games, it's through their bot lane. The pairing with Ghost looked nice. Even into a really difficult team in OTLO, was still able to perform pretty well. So, I don't know.
Yeah, good.
Maybe overranked. Maybe
I don't
not.
know. They're gonna rock with Ghost some more. Might keep climbing up the ranks. We'll see.
We will have to see. Bottom of the top half at number 6.
Red Sharky off of just the one game of support, right? Or the one series of support, right?
One series, yeah. So not a big sample size. Stats a little inflated because of their time in the mid lane, but I think looked okay on the pairing with Key. I don't know if that's what they're gonna rock with next week. It seems like they have a
Uh,
different lineup configuration
think so.
every week.
I think they posted it. Yeah, it'll be. Well, no. Sharky will go back jungle this week. So it
Arky will
might
go
be
jungle,
Sharky is anticipated to go jungle this week.
so
Yep.
that'll be 3 different jungles in 3 weeks. That's kind of crazy. Like I said, they're trying to make things stick. A really tough ball lane to go into, but I don't know, look decent. I mean, it was trying to make they played Yumi, which is weird. They went Yumi Sivir. Sivir had a rough game. Yumi looked all right, and then they went Amumu MF, and Amumu looked like they had a rough game. So I don't know. I think your like individual rankings probably more indicative of where this player should end up, but
Yeah, it's tough when you only get 2 games. It just kind of feels bad taking the spot for the top half, especially if they're gonna go back to a different role. But that
we're
just means
working
they'll
with
be
what
on the
we got.
list for one thing. Also, the echo might have been me. I was super close to the mic, so Righteous might have been picked up in my mic, but I think I fixed it. Anyway, we're going to the top 5. I mean, there's somebody that hasn't been shown on the list yet, and
Yeah, somebody hasn't been shown on the
and
list
that's
yet.
I mean, people were murmuring,
People were murmuring that
people were whispering.
this day was eventually going to come.
I mean, people were whispering. Top 5, top
Yeah,
5.
I think deserved. I think if you look at the supports below you, we've everybody that we've played and beaten is on that list. Um,
Yeah, yeah. I think even
and
in my attempted bias list of my own, looking at the people that we don't show yet, there was no way to justify. It's either people I lost to or haven't played yet. So
yeah,
um,
so I think
I don't
five's
know.
deserved.
This
I
BK's
think
carrying me, so I'm just here.
yeah, because off-roll specialist. Yeah, I think has matched up well, even in our one loss. I think we uh, played pretty well in the games that we had good connection. So I don't know. You could say it's biased. I think you'd be hard pressed to kind of justify that it's biased if you're looking at results. So CB at
Sure.
5. Another barbaric
Ooh,
champion
just hanging
at
out together all
4.
every week.
Yeah, every week. Moving up one spot from 5 to 4. Maybe deserve to move up more. You could argue. Who knows?
I
Let's
mean,
look at.
they were higher on my list. That's all I'm saying. So it must be stats. Must be stats. Stat dish.
Yeah, the loss was tough for Barbaric, 0-4-3 on the recon, but then after that, looked pretty good into TFF. Had a nice showing in a non-favorable matchup, game 1, Brahma to Zara, and then looked good on the Twitch. Twitch going crazy. Lulu right there with them.
This game was before the Lulu nerfs. True.
Yeah, correct. I think. I don't know. Either way, racking up the assists on the Lulu. I mean, has been top 5 for a little bit. I think at least since last week.
Yeah, at
So
least since last week.
number
I think
4
it's
is
definitely deserved. I think you can make the argument for anywhere in the top 4 wouldn't have been too crazy. Until they really pick up a loss, I don't see them dropping out of the top 5.
So that's how I'm at 5, and I think you had him at 3.
Yeah,
So, 4 is where they landed. Anyways, top 3, Lunar Paw, which
it was 4 last
moving
week.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Looked good with Pelum. I should just call him PM. I don't know why I haven't done that.
PM Urialis.
PM. Yeah, looked good. I will say the asterisk says it did come against DP, but 0213 on the Seraphine, 0514 on the Seraphine. Made it work. Got a dub. Can't complain.
Yeah, I will say. I mean, support was tough as far as like the top 4. Who goes
Yeah.
where? So I went back and forth on who should go where. I think the top 4 are somewhat interchangeable. You can make the argument that it's the only undefeated team, so maybe all their players should be 1 or worst case 2. But I think it's all
Yeah.
like a 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D type thing right now.
Yeah. The interesting thing about Lunar, and this has been consistent for the last several weeks now, probably like the last 3 or 4, has played decently, Hasn't lost a game, but the stats always have them right on the outside of top 5. So
Mm.
this week they ended up at 6. Um, it's a credit to how strong support is in the upper half, like you were saying, like a 1A, 1B, 1C kind of thing. And then I think as well, we'll have to see as, more games with Murialis start to happen. Um, I don't know if OTL just kind of takes it slow in the early game or what, but they don't. They have high KP percentage. There's not a lot of kills that happen in OTLO's games. It seems like when it comes to like racking up like the raw assists totals and stuff like that.
Win's a win.
Yeah, win is a win. Number 2, top 2.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into
Triumphant
it.
himself, Mr. Leonard. Uh, I mean, has been number 1 or number 2 for pretty much this whole season, right? I think
I
dipped
think
down to
so.
number 3.
Yeah, I think probably top 3 all split, right?
Yeah, top 3 for sure. I'll split. It's been interesting since losing to TFF. Uh, Ferdy's stats has gotten better every week, and I think Triumphant has kind of pulled back a little bit on roaming and making sure the map is won, and instead kind of focus on letting Ferdy thrive a little bit. Ferdy was doing okay on his own. It was
Yeah.
keeping up in CS and the 1v2 and stuff, but um, the philosophy I think has switched, and so now Ferdy's been a little bit more involved in these mid and late game fights, and it's looked a lot better. And so Triumphant at number 2 checks out.
Yeah, I
You
don't.
could
I mean, unless they lose, I don't think Triumphant's gonna drop below top 3. So it's gonna be tough. I mean, a lot of these teams play each other. We play 2 of the teams that are above me, so it'll be interesting how everybody shakes out. But back-to-back weeks at the top. Who is it? Poodle 25.
Poodle 25. Now I know what you might be thinking. Righteous CB. What is this? Poodle and TFF lost last week. I think in the losses, the 2 losses that they did have, Poodle seemed fine in terms of controlling the map, controlling what she could do. Stats are high on Poodle, still at number 1 in stats. And it was a close series, so we'll have to see.
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, I don't. There's no argument to. I mean, Poodle's clearly top 4. I think that the top 4. There's no argument to change those. As far as who's in the top 4. Yeah, it's like just like in the chats. TFF lost to TD. So how are they above? It's really the stats that pushed them up there. No, it's not just the stats. I think even on my list, I still had Poodle at 3 or 4.
3, I think.
Yeah, 3. So it's just the stats that kind of balanced it out that way. I have Barbaric 1 spot above Poodle just because the head-to-head does mean something, but I don't know. We get to play both of them, so maybe it'll end up shaking itself out as far as the stats go. But I don't know. If you sit at the top of the stats, it's hard pressed to fall unless I just screw you over and rank you really low.
We have a development in chat. Everyone's kind of trying to figure out where we want to go next. I'm gonna throw up a quick poll. Do we have time for
I
a
was
quick
gonna
poll?
say
30-second poll.
Okay, yeah, 30-second poll. 30-second poll. Yeah.
30-second
We
poll.
can do another one. I have a snooze, so we're chilling. We can do another one.
I can make it happen. If I remember how. It's been a hot second. It feels like. But
yeah,
who's next? That's the list for support.
The most important role. We should probably end the stream there, I think. No, let's do, as you're setting up the poll, a quick little plug about what we're thinking coming up for Rivals 2v2 tournament.
Yeah, true.
Which I think is going to be March 14th. So 2.5 Fridays from now. No 80 carry is not done yet. Half a star.
How do you get half a Friday?
2.5. What I say? Fridays from now. Two
You
and a half
said
weeks from now.
2.5 Fridays from now.
Oh no, man.
The poll's up. Couldn't do a 30-second. I could do a minute. So far, it looks like middle is by far
Mid.
and away
People want to see the
the
mid
clear
'cause the
victor.
mid's just mid's that role. It's a tough role. For the top, I mean, really like the top 8 or 9 in mid. It feels like.
Geez, ADC has not got done already. But it looks like middle is the clear victor. So we go in middle. You guys voted. We aim to please. Despite what our chat looks like right now. Number 13. I don't know. Who do you think it is, chat? It's they've been 13 pretty much ever since week 2. Brissinger 35. I don't know. I mean, I feel like last week was the last best opportunity for this guy to crack top 12.
Yeah.
And it just didn't happen. Just didn't happen.
It could still happen. But I mean, even looking at the bottom half of the mid list, it just seems like it's going to be tough to jump anybody. I don't know. Even the bottom half seems pretty solid, so it's tough to move up if your team's not picking up wins.
Yeah, definitely felt the wrath of Mundo Man in the Civil War. Mundo Man probably had his best week, so tough stuff for Brissinger, but I hope he's having fun, and I hope the improvement keeps coming. Check your mini map at number 12.
Move down a spot.
Down one spot. Makes sense.
Yeah, it was tough. The bottom third was kind of tough. I had mini map a little higher, then had to move him back down on my list and went back and forth because some other players had some good games. So yeah, it's just I think a decent showing given who they played.
Yeah.
But just not enough. But they have a weaker schedule, so definitely an opportunity to climb up the ranks.
Yeah, looked good on the Akali. Did not look like they had fun on the Victor, especially when you're playing into a Jarvan. I could see why that would be a struggle. But yeah, I think with Mundo Man having the week that he did against Brissinger, was expected to move up. I think Mundo Man was 12 last week, right? So there you go, number 11.
Yeah, moving up one spot. Was tempting to move potentially up another 1 or 2 spots because had a pretty good showing. But then you have to remember that they also played against the number 13 on the list, so it's, I don't know, a win's a win, but strength of opponent also does matter.
Yeah, I mean, the bump was nice, right? Probably, like I said, probably had his best showing. Looked good on the Annie against the Ari, and then I think it was
Swain and
what?
Syndra.
Swain, yep.
Yeah,
Looked good on the Swain too.
Yeah.
So, number 11, Mundo Man. Deserved little bump. Feels good, man. Feels good, man, Mundo Man. Number 10, Slivic making their first appearance on the mid lane rankings. Typically the black tip support.
Which we'll go back to support. So just a one little trial run, I guess, mid lane.
I don't know. 1 week showing. Apparently they did or didn't like what Slivic was bringing to the table. It was always going to be tough going into NLE and Soul Ram. But, you know, looked okay. Was 3-3-5 on the Syndra and then actually went deathless in game 2 on the Xerath. So, I think outside of that bottom 3, Slivic looked good. 10 probably decent ranking for a 1 week appearance.
Yeah, it is weird having a deathless game while the enemy mid laner did pretty
Also
well and went
pops off.
6-2-8. So that's just an odd stat line, but that's just spacing, good spacing on the Xerath maybe.
Yeah. Maybe not a lot that could have. I don't know. Sting Pickle, number 9.
Had the bye.
Had the bye.
So they
moved down
moved down quite a bit.
So
probably a mix of everything, stats and my list, probably both.
I think you had them. I don't know what you had them last week. Had them pretty low this week. Stats were kind of low on Stink Pickle again. Was at number 9. So
Okay. I had a
uh,
mid pack last week and then moved him down this week, but it's really mid. I mean mid, like the roles that are real heavy with a lot of good players in it. If you
oh,
have
you
the
know
bye
what?
week, you just move down a lot because everybody has decent showings.
You know what it is though. I think stats were high on Pickle. I think he was in top 6 last week because there was a lot of. That was the week that Drakenrich moved off for the first time.
Oh yeah.
And there was like a lot of shakeup from what I remember. So, I don't know. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense in my eyes. I mean, Roar's only won one series, and so
Yeah, really, technically.
being at number 9 checks out for me. Comma at number 8. I think it was number 8.
Number 10 last week.
Number 10 last week.
So
So moved up.
moving up, got the win. Was Kama always mid? Or am I tripping?
No, Comma was jungle when we
Okay,
played
that's
him.
what I thought.
Has since moved mid.
Okay. That makes sense.
Turns out the 3 camps into backing when you're pathing wasn't
That's safe.
cutting it.
Safety
I
first.
guess.
But yeah, decent showing. Even in the game they lost, Kama had an alright game on the Ari, but pulling off the Lux mid, I feel like we don't see that too often.
Yeah.
Not lately. And then the Silas game 3 really popped off.
You pulled out the Lux mid and then opened up the Lux flex on game 3 too, which is nice to have
Oh,
two
yeah.
players that can play that. And then yeah, Silas looking good as well. Limestone finally pulled out the mouth fight mid. I just don't know. I think it might have been blind. I have a hard time believing they would pick that out of the Silas. So
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
that is, I think, is
can check
is
real
it
quick,
Freak?
actually.
It's Freak or
Yeah, Malphite was
August.
Malphite was B5, Silas R5.
I think Freak or August said on paper the worst matchup you can have is Malphite and Silas. So, definitely made that matchup work. Number 7,
Top of the bottom.
top of the bottom half. It's gonna be Silent Assassin, dropping from 5 to 7, so a 2-point dip. Looked good in lane. Game 1 against Salo on the Zoe. Didn't really make the pick work after that. And then game 2 was just really rough for Plasma Wolves overall. Has lost 4 straight. 7's a decent spot for Assassin to be in, despite the those losses.
Yeah, I mean, playing against a top opponent in lane, and then just kind of what happened overall with the team. Expected, I guess, to move down, but only 2 spots. That's not too bad. So easy to bounce back up into that top half.
Potentially easy. Mid
Yeah,
lane's
I
pretty
guess
stocked
mid
too.
lane
That's
is
like
pretty
support.
stacked, true.
Number 6, Limestone. Despite Kama getting the better of Limestone, stays in the top half. Limestone was 3, so took a 3-point dip with the loss. I think. Why I don't have to think. Limestone was top 4 in the stats side of things.
This week, or last
Kama
week?
this week. Kama was at 7. I think what it is the jury still out on how good Kama could be. But Limestone did take the hit. It just wasn't enough for Kama to overpass him, if that makes sense.
Yeah, they were just last week pretty far apart. Yeah, so they got closer to each other, but just because you win a game doesn't necessarily you automatically get placed above that person. If you're pretty close, then maybe, but this week not so much. I think Limestone will bounce back. I mean, it's not like they had the worst showing ever type thing. Just some interesting maybe blind picks.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. I'll snooze real quick. We got another 5 minutes, so
5 minutes to go through
Top
the
five.
rest of the top 5. Let's do it. Number 5. What was formerly Silent Assassin Spot? Ribbon, making their first appearance, I think, in the top 5.
Yeah, jumped up from 7.
Jumped up from 7. It was a long climb. I think it was as low as 11 at one point. Maybe not, maybe 10. Probably 10. Either way, probably a long time coming for Ribbon. Start off the season slow. TD's been looking good. Ribbon's been looking good as well. So Ribbon cracks the list at 5. Don't ever want to see Ribbon on a 0 again. But if you don't pick him that champ, I think Ribbon's playing really good right now.
Yeah. Are we still waiting for the Riven mid, or has that been pulled out yet? Not yet.
I think,
Well, they're
I
saving
think we're
it maybe.
still waiting.
Okay,
think
maybe
we're still
against us. I think it'd be a good pick into us probably.
Yeah, probably.
But yeah, top 5. Good climb. Feels like they've been climbing 1 or 2 spots almost every week. So
Yeah.
see if they can stay there in the top 5. Number 4 is going to be.
Number 4 was Stink Pickle Spot, so
Now
it's gonna be a
Efron.
new face. Efron moving up from 6 makes sense. Did lose, but the culmination of the season's work for Efron, stats are high on this player, has him in top 3.
So they both moved up.
Both
2
moved up.
spots.
Yep.
So they were already kind of 1 and 2. You can make the argument. I mean, TD won, so should it be flipped? I assume the stats kind of pushed it that way.
Yeah, so stats have Efron 3 and Riven 6, so it kind of just averaged out to be close. We'll say coin flip between the two.
Yeah. I think it could have went either way. It's always kind of odd just seeing like I just beat that person. But yeah, stats are a part of the rankings, not the full thing, just a part of it. But yeah, I think Efron had some good showings. I mean, not the best Vigar in the last game. Popped off on it. I mean, hard carry. I wouldn't say hard carried, but 50% at least carried game 2. So they felt like running it back game 3. Just didn't quite work out.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, kind of a unique pick with Nefiri. I don't think I've ever seen that champ in comp in terms of like pro play. Maybe someone who has played that, but I haven't seen it be used how it's intended, I guess.
Not yet.
Rough showing in game 1. So, all right, number 3, top 3.
3 in 2.5 minutes.
2.5 minutes. We can make it work.
Who the f is this guy?
Last time you'll see Corrupt on this list. I think actually moved down despite the win. I think it was 2 last week.
Oh yeah, it was 2 last week.
Yeah, it was number 2. So, 07's in the chat for Corrupt. Don't know what happened to lead to his dismissal. I can only imagine, and what I imagine isn't good. So.
Yeah, I mean, a win's a win. Against, a team against a winless team, but I don't know. You do something badly enough to get kicked off, or to voluntarily leave. Who knows?
Hey, the way the man talked, I don't think it was voluntary.
Yeah.
Top 2. I think a big riser this week.
Yeah.
Soul Ram.
Up from 8 to 2.
Yeah. That's have her at number 2.
Yeah,
I know
think
he's
it was
been
just
playing great.
Maybe kind of a weaker 1 or 2 showings. I mean, despite that their team overall is still, winning games and whatnot. I just think their stats and the mid lane just being very stacked as far as a lot of people being good had them falling. But yeah, quick little bounce back to the top 2.
Yeah. Solar, a player that I think, we've had our fair share of games against Sentinel. Solar's a player that will definitely capitalize on your mistakes. I don't know if she would really call herself an aggressor. I don't think she looks out for the solo bolos or outplays, but is consistent overall week in, week out. Number 1 Hasn't done anything to lose this spot. Looked good against Silent Assassin, who was number 5 when we went against them. The solo bolo leader himself, Salosin.
Yeah, just keeps popping off. I mean, we have some good games coming up. Still heavy strength of schedule, so Salo will get some good competition. But I don't know. I expect Salo to rock the number 1 spot the rest of the season, so we'll see.
We'll see. Has some tough competition coming up. Efron and Riven, we still got to play. But that is your mid lane power ranking. Support and mid are now officially done and dusted. We got 3 more positions left. As we do the quick ad break, I'll do a poll for you guys to see what's coming up next.
Yeah. Who wants what role next?
People have spoken. It has been declared. We are going over bottom next. This is your week 5 Sentinel power rankings. I'm Righteous. That's CB. Let's just get straight into it because we always are running out of time.
AD carry, AP carry,
Yeah,
Both.
bottom laners.
D carry.
Who's it gonna be, guys? Number
Could be
13,
different. Could be different.
the caboose. I mean, Xarxes was 13 last week, as he has been the last couple of weeks. Didn't get the win in the Civil War, so unfortunately, that's where Xarxes stays.
Yeah, I mean, similar-ish trend for a lot of their team, unfortunately. Just, I think it's going to take a win or just a really good series to be able to jump somebody. Better than 14th.
Better than 14th. That's true. Number 12, Praetos. Dipping down one spot.
Fell one spot after
Stoic.
their 1-2 loss.
Yeah, and Stoic's not on this list.
Oh, yeah.
I'll keep it brief. I think Praetos has had a rough season. And I think last week the redeeming quality is that it looked like you could scale really well on Smolder.
Yeah, they didn't do it on the Zeri. Or wasn't
Didn't
able
do
to
it on the Zeri. Yeah, I don't think putting the mechanically intensive champion in the hands of Praetos is a good call, but maybe that's what he wanted for. I do know Ash is going to be more relevant in the next coming patch, so maybe we'll see him on that in MF and Smolder. Who knows? It's just been a rough season for Praetos. So yeah. Number 11, Adrian Legitness won't be on this list next week. I think moved down.
Right?
Yeah, going back to support.
Yeah,
I think he moved down.
Moved down 2 spots.
Yeah. So I don't know. Makes sense. Isn't going to be on this list next week, so.
Yeah, nature of the bye. They didn't play, so naturally you're going to move down. Usually a spot or 2. So we'll see if they are 11th support or if they end up higher.
Number 10 was Rico last week. Rico's not going to be on this list. So this will be a new face. Instead, it's the replacement Ghost 7.
Yeah, same spot. I mean, I think Rico is a solid AD carry. But Ghost, of the small sample size, played pretty well despite their 0-2 loss, right?
Yep. 5-1-8 game 2 on the Ezreal. 3-3-1 on the Ezreal game 1. So I mean, not an easy champion to pilot, and looked like they performed decently enough on it. A little bit better results in game 2, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's going to be a story that is worth developing. I think Rico's the captain. I don't know. Was that one of the teams that had co-captains? I can't remember. But I'm pretty sure Rico's one of the captains on that team. So I expect Rico to be back, but maybe he's like, hey, you guys looked good. I don't know. We'll see.
We shall see. I don't think it's been posted. Yeah, it hasn't been posted yet. So don't know who will actually be playing. Because they have 2 or 3 roles that they've kind of been swapping people in and out of. So I don't know. Ghost seemed like a good fit, but I don't think Rico is necessarily the reason they're losing games. So either way.
Number 9. Gonna be a new face as well. This time it's OSG Cheese. Actually took a 1 spot dip, and I think that's because of new faces that are in the upper half. I haven't impressed with Cheese. Stats have been impressed with Cheese. I think stats have Cheese sitting at number 8. So not far off of the stats ranking. Did pick up the win in the Civil War. Did come against the worst AD carry. I think Cheese is like solidly in the middle of the pack mix.
Yeah, I think the top half or top 6 is pretty tough to crack. So I wouldn't have been too surprised if Cheese was 7 or 8, and they might get there. Just not the strongest schedule. So
Yeah, I will say, I mean, like Mundo Man, this is probably Cheese's best week. Popped off on the Kaisa 10-3-11, and then busted out the Kled bot. Like, I don't know, would you call that a pocket pick, surprise pick?
Yeah.
Went 14-1-8. OSG was really cooking game two, Sub-Zero anyways. Avalanche was cooked game two. Uh, yeah, so I mean, Cheese, really good week. It's just I, I said before we did this to CB that ADCs are going to be the most pissed off after this week. So we'll see if that still stands. Number 8 is Key making a return to the bottom lane. I don't know. Key does so much damage every week, but dies so often.
You gotta get in
And
there.
so,
He's
yeah,
in there doing
I
stuff.
just, at some point, it's like, are you doing more harm than good? I don't know. HPB hasn't been able to put it together the last couple weeks. I don't know if Key's getting caught like he did against us. At the end of the day, like,
Maybe it's
it's
peel
tough.
diff. Maybe it's peel diff. I don't know.
Maybe it's peel diff. Like, stats are so high on Key, and then, like, you watch how HPB loses games, and I'm just like, at what point is it an issue? I don't know. But Key is number 8.
Maybe trying to overcompensate for the other side of the rift, as far as like top jungle have had some rough weeks.
Yeah.
So maybe Key's just thinking
Just
needs to do
over-forcing.
a little bit more to offset that, but still middle of the
I
pack.
will say, for those of you that think we just look at KDA, Key's an example of that not being the case. Because stats have Key at number 2. So, I think this is a fair rating for a team that's struggling, especially for their AD carry. I don't know. We'll see. Like, HPB is trying something new every week, so we'll have to see if this whatever they're doing next week sticks. But number 7, Ferdy, also moving down a spot. Like I said, I think it's the nature of a new face in these rankings. Was number 6.
Just moved down in one spot despite the win, which is always tough to see. Why am I moving down if we're winning? But yeah, it's the small sample size, right, of somebody coming in maybe for one game.
Yeah.
So that's kind of skews it. They'll bounce back up assuming they keep winning their games. But yeah, towards the upper side of the middle pack. So
Yeah, I mean, had a really nice week against Key, like we just talked about. Looked solid on the Caitlyn both games. I think stats have him at 7, so he's right there for the stats ranking. And I think part of that is, like I said, Triumphant, known for roaming. I don't think he's doing it as much, but I still think he is making it happen. And so, when your support leaves the lane, it does definitely doesn't help your ADC, depending on the timers and whatnot. So
not stat wise, at least.
Stat wise, yeah, it helps your team, but Birdie at 7, right solidly in the middle. Which is, I mean, honestly, the way that NLE plays is really good. It's a testament to his individual skill of staying alive, keeping up in farm, but not being lane dominant. BK's number 6.
I know that guy.
Yeah. Has put together probably, I don't know, 3 solid weeks now. Has kind of started to figure out this whole ADC thing. Moved down, was top 5. Like I said, new person.
Similar boat to Ferdy, yeah. Both moving down a spot despite both teams winning.
Yeah. CV
Uh-oh.
has him pretty high. His stats are kind of low.
I tried BK's. I put him higher. The stats wouldn't let me.
Yeah, stats brought him down. But BK's at 6, I think, for a team. Like I said, I think Sector 1 is still probably the strongest, even with PLW going through whatever they're going through. For an off-roll player, really good.
Yeah, no complaints. Just forcing him to play 10 new champs this week. So we'll see what we pull out tomorrow.
Number 5. As it slowly comes to fruition, there's the new face that caused for some movement. Rich gets the mid lane stat buff from all these games in mid, and then as well looked good in their win. I would say really rough showing in game 2, but for role swapping, with like 1 week of practice, I think you can give a game. Other than that, 636 on the Jinx game 1, and then game 2, deathless into Azeri as Caitlyn. Looked good, showing both the hyperscaling in the Jinx games and then lane dominance with Brute Souls in game 3.
Yeah, it's always weird because who they had last week was very low on the list. So it's always kind of weird when people role swap and how the stats and then everything you have to take, even on my list also, taking into account their other games, but they're off role or on a different role. So yeah, I don't know. They lost, but still top 5. I'm gonna look up to see if they're playing. What team is this? BLM. Draken is going to stay AD carry.
Yeah, I think was it Uba or Limestone? One of the solo laners for Veracity said that they're pretty high on BLM if they keep the roster configuration they went against. So, maybe that's where he stays. We'll see. But yeah, good first outing for Rich. Number 4, Nike Dragon. Rough week for Nike.
But stay the same.
Stayed the same. Looked pretty uncomfortable on the Tristana. Not gonna lie.
Takeaway pick.
Yeah, it was a takeaway pick. Didn't really work out. I don't know. After going against Nike Dragon, I always like to ask your thoughts. From the previous week.
Of course, I'm gonna give them a little bit of a pass just because it seemed like their bot lane was still. You're pretty far removed, obviously, from what's going on, the top jungle areas.
Yeah.
So I assume just overall, just tough for their whole team on what was going on. I do think this is another week where we kind of adapted to what we knew or thought they might play. And I don't know. I think we played really well bot lane as well. So didn't have the best showing for Nike, but we still kept him at number 4. So
yeah, I think. No, I can't speak on the NLE games because I didn't get to watch them. Not NLE, OTLO games because I didn't get to watch them. But I would gander that game 2 was probably the roughest that Nike Dragon had in terms of lane. It still went 8-5-2 on the game. Was like the bright spot of that game. The laning was just off. And then like game 1, you play a scaling pick, you go 0-2-0, and it felt like the game was over before Jinx could really even get anything going. Only got to their second item, so it's kind of hard to blame your AD carry when you're playing scaling and the game is over before you get to scale. So, pretty high on Nike Dragon still. Tough week. Don't know if it gets better with the new jungler. But yeah, there you go. Number 3, PM, Mr. Murialis, making his debut. Another new face for bottom lane.
AD carry debut or bot lane.
Yeah,
debut.
yeah, bot lane debut. So with him and Drakenrich, AD carry, top 7, top 8. That's a lot. That's a lot of good ADCs.
Yeah. So AD carries. They're no mid lane as far as being stacked, but it's getting close. It's getting there.
Getting close. Yeah. Went deathless in their first game. Pulled out the MF Seraphine combo. DP just said, "That's okay. Go ahead and have it again." didn't go deathless, but still performed. Had a ton of damage on the MF. Uh, uh, yeah, looked good.
Yeah, and I think looks like OTLO is going to run back the same roster except for mid. So AD carry is going to stay the same for Mirialis staying in there. So expect them to stay top 5. I forget who they're playing. But yeah, number 3 off of one list or off of 1 week.
For 1 week. It was against the one of the worst for wear teams, but we'll see if it stands. I imagine it still does. I don't think OTL really gets pressured until playoffs now.
Yeah.
Number 2, Chrome Alone, moving up. I think was number 3 last week, if I recall correctly.
Yep.
So looking really good. A big part of when TFF plays well. It's basically him and Efron holding down the mid to late. Didn't pick up the win, but with the new faces and some of the former top ADCs struggling recently, I think despite the loss, Chrome Alone at number 2 makes sense.
Yeah, and even in the game 1 where they lost, Chrome Alone seemed to still play pretty well on that Caitlyn, and then game 2 popped off. And, of course, game 3 not going their way. And I guess that kind of makes sense why we have number 1 at number 1. Because the winner of that game was One Hand.
One Hand. Pulling out the Twitch again. Looked good in game 3. Caitlyn looked good in game 1. The one knock is going 0-3-2 on the Varus. But, it's tough when your manor's 1-8. So, I'm not going to blame One Hand for that game 2 performance as a team. And has, since Nike Dragons started struggling, has kind of quietly but solidly cemented themselves as number 1. And I think it's deserved.
Yeah, I mean, TD's bot lane, I mean, are they strongest bot lane right now? I mean, obviously you have OTLO, who's also both people in the top 3 or 4. So it'll be interesting. It'll be a nice matchup whenever we get to play them next week or the week after. I don't know. We go against number 1 and number 2. So hopefully BK's is in a game practicing right now. But yeah, much deserved for One Hand. And I don't know. I guess it was a tie for the next 2 roles. So.
Yeah. Well, no, Jungle was. I think Jungle was last, right? Jungle didn't get hardly any votes.
No,
so we'll go Jungle last.
They ended up being tied at the last second.
Oh, they ended up being tied?
That's okay. We'll go top lane.
We'll go top lane. He only has 1 hand. 1 hand? Do you really only have 1 hand? I don't know the lore. I would assume it would make sense with your name. Anyways, top lane rankings. Hunter 85M7 was 13 last week, 13 this week. Part of it is stats, and that's that. I don't know.
It's tough. It's tough. I mean, it's just unfortunate. A similar theme for their team. They play against us this week, so respectfully, hopefully we can keep Hunter at 13 from a team standpoint. But pushing for you to climb up from a content standpoint.
I think Hunter's on Sub-Zero.
Oh, really? I'm tripping?
Yeah, Matrix is the top laner of Avalanche.
Oh, you're right.
And
that's on me. Then
Matrix,
I hope Hunter goes to number 2.
Matrix typically does, I say well, it's a loose well, but performs usually better than some of his counterparts on Avalanche. So I'm going to pull up the win screen.
OSG Civil War again?
Yeah, pulled up I mean, if you look at the stats from the games, he had some spicy picks. Hunter got the better of him in game 2 though. It's just like he came on late, and I don't know.
So probably just the stats overall. Just it's gonna be near impossible to maybe climb out of 13th.
I mean, it just depends.
I had him
because
at 12 for what it's worth. I tried.
Yeah, you had him at 12. Maybe part of me thinks that you thought it was the Avalanche top laner, but
no,
I'm just kidding.
I think Hunter won the head-to-head. I mean, it's tough whenever. I don't know.
Drew's still out. I think if Hunter puts together a couple more solid performances, he'll move up. I mean, top half is probably pushing it, but we'll see. Matrix at number 12.
Speaking of,
So looked fine, I guess. Game one, tough. Got abused on the Lucian top, doing their best Hootie impression. Um, like I said, usually does pretty well for Avalanche.
yeah, maybe
They
a
just
little
haven't
bit
won.
too much spiciness maybe. This last week in the top lane, some spicy picks.
Maybe.
Just not
I don't
not
know.
enough.
When
You
you
can
win
try
this, you
anything.
gotta make.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta try something. I will, for what it's worth, Matrix is top 10 in stats. So
Oh,
take that for what you will.
sorry.
Number 11,
Reverse.
reverse. I think this is the lowest reverse has gone.
I think so.
I think
I think they've been slowly dropping and dropped one spot from last week.
Is there room to drop more? Maybe. The thing with it's tough. The thing with HPB is they started off, they wrecked game one or week one, and then just have not looked good since. And so, I would say it's deserved for reverse. This feels bad kind of saying it, but the performance hasn't been there, and so number 11 has to go to somebody, and it's for the struggling HPB top winner.
Yeah, and a tough matchup upcoming against TD, I believe. And then they play TFF. So it's not looking great on the horizon, but maybe they figure something out and make a last minute playoff climb through top lane. Maybe. No?
Maybe more singed. Maybe. Number 10, top 10. What was formerly reverse's spot?
Now it's gonna be XX Angry. Climb it up a little bit. I think, right? Maybe. Yeah.
Yep.
One spot.
This reversed with reverse. The Uno reversal. I've been tough on Angry in the past just because he was pulling out like wild picks and not doing well on them. By wild, I mean probably like Warwick, and then he was trying to get all edgy with the Yon and didn't look great. This week he played two tanks,
Yeah.
and while DP didn't win, I think performed just about as best as you could possibly hope for in the aspect in OTLO. I wouldn't say it's his best week, but I think it was his most consistent 2-game showing. Because some weeks he would go off for one game and then just totally suck the other two. But I think if you're angry in DP, this is something you could build off of. I know it's not the result you wanted, and it's probably not comfortable for this player to play tanks, but I think the more experience, the better for him. So number 10.
Yeah, I mean they of course had 2 subs, I guess we would say, this week. So we'll see what they rock tomorrow night, unless a lot of people rescheduled this week. So who knows who plays tomorrow night? But yeah, back on tank duty. You're playing against the number 1 team, so it's just kind of tough overall. But hopefully they solve some minor victories that they carry into the next games.
Number 9. Don't think there's any movement from what I can remember. I put these together and I forget about them. Yep, Islamic Samurai stayed consistent despite the loss. I mean, if we're gonna be 100% honest, it's gonna be really hard for Islamic to dip below the 4 players below him, especially being on TFF. I expect TFF to continue to have this success despite their loss, but has been, we'll say, the weaker link of that team historically throughout this split. So number 9 is where he stays.
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't know
Had a
if
really good
Samurai
Rumble
is
game.
off roll, technically, or if that's not the case. I don't know if I made that up.
I think he usually plays, or way back in the day, I remember him playing top and jungle, but I think recently he's been on his support era.
Okay, maybe that's what it is. Yeah. So I don't know. Still, I'd count 9 as middle of the pack. And agree. I don't think they're gonna drop below 9th, especially being on a solid team.
Yeah.
Number 8, is going to be Tiny Fists of Fury, as predicted, like you said. Staying the same from last week.
Yeah, I would say there's like, I think top lane had probably the least movement, which if you're a fan of competitive play, top lane has been like the role thrown to the wolves. Will change next patch. Tiny Fist of Fury stays at number 8. Got the win against Uba and Veracity. He. So we talk about like the Tyler 30501 role, where you're like the glue guy. Pretty sure Tiny is like that for BLM. From what I remember, other than the one cannon game I think we saw last week, has been pretty consistently on tank duty, holding it down for BLM.
Spicy Timo, though.
Yeah, did pull out the spicy Timo. Had a really nice game in the Galio as well. So had some picks prepared for Uba's whatever she's called, Mbessa, which is probably why they got the Mbessa all 3 games. And performed well 2 out of the 3. So really good stuff.
Yeah, always feels good to pick up a win. It's the first Timo win of the split for LXC Sentinel, probably. So I don't know. Maybe we'll see it next game as well.
So returning to this list, Aspect of Noxus, who follow in the chats, probably the top laner for the rest of the regular season. Don't know what the plan is for playoffs. I mean, I think he's solid. I don't know if he's elite. And so that's why you see him at 7.
Yeah, I don't remember where Noxus was at when they were on the list.
You have to go back
feels
2
like
weeks.
probably
3 maybe.
bouncing around the middle of the pack. Probably won't climb into the top 3. But also I don't think we'll ever dip below like 8. So I think a very solid player on a very good team.
Yeah, it's been interesting. I'm curious to see if this changes, but when I was doing the stats for OTLO, it was always Corrupt and Noxus having low KP and high deaths, which was interesting comparatively to the rest of the team. So I don't know if they were just rocking like a hard 1-3-1 and they were just getting caught out on sides or what, but I don't know. If Aspect were to get the deaths down, still do well in lane and then maybe participate a little bit more, the stats would probably be higher, but that is where Aspect sits. 6 spots to go. Bottom of the top half. We got 5 minutes. Rapid fire.
We got 7 minutes.
We got 7 minutes. Let's do this.
Speaking of...
Dude. Let me check.
Check your email real quick. Yeah, it's okay, man.
Yeah.
AOL.
Yeah. Well, I'm just trying to think of how I want to approach this ranking.
Say with your chest.
Neptune got gapped both games by our boy. And game 2, the comms were hilarious to listen to. I was calling them Neptune Desperation Rises for a little bit. I don't know, dude. The mental, the play, like his stats are good. Stats still have him in top 3. But that last week was rough.
Yeah, I mean, everybody has games that get upset, get tilted, and whatnot. But I don't know how you're gonna do it in the actual middle of an actual competitive game. Actual. So yeah, that was wild to see. They're sticking around for this next week, seems, so they'll probably stay on the roster the whole time.
Somebody in chat said they bribed with a monetary contribution to stay on the roster. I don't know how true that is.
That's just
like, I mean,
so that's cool. Right off.
Like I was talking about, it's not surprising to see Corrupt go, but it's always interesting when a player is actually performing pretty well, getting the boot. Like I said, Neptune's stats was a rough week, but still top 3 in terms of like overall prowess as a top laner. It's tough to get rid of, but man, like I can only imagine what I'd be saying or doing if my top laner was acting the way he did in game 2.
Yeah. I can be like, don't come top lane, and then 5 minutes later, crying because ain't nobody coming top lane. Like, you gotta make up your mind, man. What we doing? Allegedly.
Yeah, all I know is I heard game 2, he said that matchup was going to be easy for him, and Death Knight proved otherwise. You can argue is one of the reasons why Star Burrito is now without a team. I don't know. Still 6.
Still
but
6. Top 6.
I don't know if he's sticking around after this week. If they lose, we'll see. Uba awesome.
Up a spot despite the 1-2 loss.
Yeah, like I said, top lane probably had the least amount of movement. Stats are still high on Uba. Actually have him at number 1.
Oh.
What Uba does,
Okay.
it's interesting. He gets a lot of solo kills. He's really good at laning. He gets a lot of tower pressure. Where Veracity struggles is, I think, their mid game, especially if bot lane is put behind early. I don't know how they're gonna approach that. I like trying to put together the puzzle pieces. I think Uba, it might be a champ pool issue. I think in terms of actual laning and being a top laner, I think he's fine. I don't think like it. At the end of the day, like Uba has to be the carry, and if it's not happening on
Ambessa?
keep forgetting her name, Ambessa, it's not happening.
Yeah, all 3 games on Ambessa.
Yeah. And so it's tough. It's a tough spot to be in as like kind of being like the most consistent performer of your team. But at the same time, it's like, I mean, where's something like a Jax or Camille or something that could really like take over a game, you know? I don't know. It's tough.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like if you're gonna pick it all 3 games, a decent amount, I feel like, or at least multiple games playing Ambessa. Even if the other team's picking blind, they probably have a good feeling that you're gonna still pick Ambessa. So, you spice it up every now and then.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the easy answer is for. I don't know if there is an easy answer for Veracity. I think Uba's a really good top. I just think that there's got to be a connection to where he can influence the map a little bit more. I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's champ pool or what. But number 4, Feathers didn't move. I don't think.
Nope, didn't move and had a bye. So I'd say that's pretty rare. But I mean,
Yeah.
Feathers be, I don't want to say hard carrying their team, but definitely for sure the most consistent piece of their team, if not a carry in most games.
Yeah, stats are pretty consistent on the top 6. I think Feathers. You know, they lost to Uba early on in the season. Kind of went on a little bit of a lull, but stats has stayed consistent.
Got 2.5 minutes.
So
I
yeah.
can't stop it.
3, 2, and 1.
3, 2,
Let's
1.
do it.
We Diet Coke at number 3, jumping up from 7th last week.
So if you ask Death Knight, he's played numbers 5 and 6 on this list, as well as number 8. He thinks Diet Coke's the hardest in lane of anyone he's faced. Comparatively. Yeah. Between all the top laners. I would agree. I think stats aren't as high on Diet Coke. I think his laning solid. I think where Coke shines is he has a really good understanding of the macro. I would say watching the games, Coke was the only top laner that took advantages and applied pressure effectively and was also felt in team fights. So
yeah, solid player at 3. And speaking of, number 2, Death Knight, climbing up from 5.
So it is power rankings, and I think when you go through on a tear and take care of 2 of the top 6 back-to-back weeks, being one of the lowest ranked members, not only on the team but in Sentinel in general, I think it's deserved. I don't know. Shows up, performs well, both in lane and outside of it. So
Yeah,
I
doing
don't know.
big,
He's your brother. I don't think you want to talk too much about it.
doing big things up there. If I say anything bad, he'll come in here and turn my computer off. So, no, I mean, much deserved. So, some might say bias. Some might say he's stomping plat top laners as a silver top laner. I don't know. People are whispering. But number
We're
one
whispering.
in our 40 seconds that we have, Complex. I feel like Complex has been top for quite a while, and
At least the last 2 weeks.
or at the top, near the top, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, number one, I feel like, I mean, much deserved. Just playing well every week, and we'll see when we play them in a couple weeks. But yeah, looking solid.
Yeah. Looked a little rough into the Rumble as a Shen. Not envious of that matchup, but other than that, has been playing really well. If you ask him, TDB should be number one. So like the confidence.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll see. I think it delays slowly a little bit, but
Yeah, it'll be the next. We got a break, and we'll be back with the last little bit of the
Teams.
power rankings. Yep.
Teams.
per popular request, we actually are going to talk about jungles. Uh, so junglers are up next, and then it'll be team rankings, and then that'll be it for the stream.
Yep.
So let's jump right into it because we got lots to cover. Number 13.
What
I
the
actually
hell?
don't remember who it is. Oh yeah, it's Toki.
That's messed up.
Small sample size. They got the dub. 0-14 stuff. Bye week bias perhaps. But Doki's at number 13. And we won't see him again at least next week.
Yep, at least next week. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Hoisting coming back.
Number 12. A familiar face returning. OSG Novacan. I believe this is the first time that Novacan is not 13 in the jungle rankings. So good on him. Didn't get the dub.
They've roll swapped a couple times, right?
Yeah, was support for the last couple weeks.
Okay.
Didn't get the dub this last week. Or did they? He's not even on this.
What happened?
I might have messed up.
Well, listen.
Oh yeah, he is on this. Yeah, never mind.
I gave you.
I thought we were looking at for supports. I got confused. Either way, it looked okay on the Sedge, and then they locked in the volley, which is it's a tough matchup into the Lilia, and went about as expected. So there you go.
Yeah, we'll see. I assume Novocane's playing tomorrow. I think we'll see what they pull out tomorrow.
We'll see. Number 11. Who's it gonna be? Drum roll, please.
Sorry, Tyler.
Yeah. Tyler no longer at number 11. Instead, it is Infiltrate. HPB has been struggling. Infiltrate making a return after a 1-week hiatus. Didn't get the dub. What else can we say?
Yeah, I forget where Infiltrate played last week. It was Key Jungle, right?
Yeah, he's only played jungle for HPB.
Oh, so just subbed out.
Yeah, just subbed out for 1 week when Key went jungle. What 4-6-6 on the Jarvan, which I mean I guess is okay. And then went 2-9-3 on your favorite pick for comp, CB.
It's good, champ.
Most junglers swear that Kayn is good. I have yet to see it do well. Anyways, Infiltrate, number 11. Number 10. Look who's moving on up in the world.
I like Kayn for comp, just on the other team, preferably.
Yeah, true. Moving on up, Tyler, despite the loss. Let me pull up the stats. So, was number 10 in stats? I'm pretty sure you ranked him number 10 too.
That sounds good.
Actually,
I put him at 11. I tried my best.
Yeah, he tried to.
Stats are too good.
Too good. Yeah, I mean, glue guy. He's like the ex-Smithy of veracity. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's tough. They haven't.
Won't ever wow you with his stats, but.
Not everybody on the team has to. Try those Zinzao action didn't go so hot game 1. But pull out the volley bear, and it looked like it was a long game 2, but it looks like they played really well in the game 2. So Tyler on the volley bear, 31 vision score, man. Here's
a crazy thing. Are you looking at the bans for all these games?
Yeah, I am now. Oh yeah, true. You gotta take that in consideration, man. That's why you're 10 instead of 11, because you be pulling bans.
Kind of the. I don't know if the reverse of our prep is the correct word, but Brawl Lives Matter says, "Hey, look, get Tyler off his comfort, and we have a top laner that can deal with Uba." So, I don't know. When you eat bans, that's a good spot to be. It means 1, you're respected and feared, and 2, they think you're a win con. So there you go.
Yeah, respect factor. And he showed him game 2.
Showed him game 2. Number 9, I'm Stealthy. Last time we saw this player on this list, he was part of the now defunct CEW, making his Braum Lives Matter debut.
Really?
Yep.
Okay. That makes sense. I was wondering. I've seen the name before, somewhere.
Yeah. Looked really good. Game 2, the one blip for their team as a whole. Had a rough Udyr game, but before that, looked pretty good on the Udyr in game 1, and then pulled out the Zinja game 3 and did pretty good.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, just windscreen stat wise, looking like more of a supportive, letting the team pop off on the Zinzao, but doing what he needed to do. So
Yeah.
wins a win and sitting at 9. Not bad.
Not bad for your return.
Return debut.
I don't remember where Stealthy was at before. Who knows? Well, debut and return. It's both. Questioning Error, who's quickly become one of my players to watch because I was just dunking on the Kane. He went 7-1-12 on it.
There it goes.
And then looked good on the Lily as well. Questioning Error. Small sample size. I think he's only played 4 games total. Was 0-2 their first week, or maybe 2-1. Oh, 1-2. Sorry, their first week. I don't remember. They got the 2-0 dub in the Civil War. Has pulled out stuff like the Fiddlesticks, the Can, Lilia. I'm assuming he could play the regular stuff as well. So, I don't know. I've been impressed with Questioning Error. I think he's gonna be fun to watch the rest of the season. In a very competitive sector too.
Yeah, not having to play tank duty every game, and it's working out for Sub-Zero. Was 9th last week, so moving in the right direction, up 1 spot.
Yep. Speaking in the right direction, the last of the bottom half, number 7. I guess first of the bottom half, last. Either way. DP Fifi. I don't remember where they were the last time we saw them. But it's pretty apparent that like DB Fifi's pretty good. Part of it is they're just struggling on a struggling team.
Yeah. Still, playoff hope's still alive. Yeah, I couldn't find where Fifi was at last time, but yeah, I mean, should hopefully maybe play again next week, but I don't know if it's been posted yet. Solid
Sure.
player on a winless team, I think. So winless team and still sitting at 7. Pretty good.
Yep. Definitely looks better on like the carries or damage dealers than the tanks, though. I will say that. Number 6, bottom of the top half.
We coach Silent K from TFF, who lost.
Moved up, I think.
Yeah, moved up 2 spots. Lost to a very good TD team in the 1-2 loss. Let's see, they pulled out the Zinzhao. Game 1, not so great. Saw it a 1-11. But bounced back with a 2-1-17 on the Skarner. So I don't know. I mean, really good game too, I guess, for the whole team. But pop-off game on the Skarner. Haven't been seeing a ton of Skarner lately. And then stuck with that kind of tank trend for game 3 on the Maokai. Just couldn't pick up the win.
Everybody looked like they had a tough game. Game 3 for TFF. I think moving up, partly because with people coming in and out of the jungle role, it seems like weekly now. It's hard for stats to get a good reading on the like overall strength of these junglers. But ended up 6 on the stats side of things.
Okay.
So you could argue that maybe like Fifi or Questioning Error should go above them, but I think in terms of like overall team success, as well as like appearances, Coach Silent K hasn't missed a game. I think that's how they ended up at 6. So I don't know. I think it's deserved. I think. Number 5. 07's in the chat. Star Burrito didn't move.
Didn't move, didn't drop.
Didn't drop, which was good to see. had to do some digging and some working with Vish to make sure I could still get the stats for Star.
Oh yeah.
Um, Stats had him at 7. I think I don't know. I think PLW made a mistake. That's all I'm gonna say.
True. My guess is still that it's like a just the outsider.
Yeah.
You're gonna lose the battle of the coin toss of if there's a conflict. So I assume that's what it was. Unfortunate that I don't think they can play on a team, at least not in Sentinel, is my understanding.
There's been some debate.
Yeah, I've heard some rumblings, but I don't know. We'll see what comes out of that. But yeah, I mean, if it is their last week, ending it in the top 5, despite going on a 0-2 back-to-back loss streak, so still recognized as a very good jungler.
Number 4. Top 4.
Top four.
Last time it was Key, which didn't play in jungle this week.
Big Perm. Big Rev.
Big Rev has been playing really good, really solid. I think the last 3 weeks has been carving out advantages in terms of tempo. I talked a lot about it in the cast game 1. Like, I know you guys ended up dying on the bot side, but Big Rev took that gank and ran with it. Went like several camps up, and really looked strong in terms of finding that individual advantage, and then helped to turn that into a team advantage. Just has looked really good.
Yeah. Rev's allowing us all across the board for rivals to play different stuff. And he's been willing to not only play what the team needs, but also try some new things. So yeah, I mean, I feel like at the very beginning he started on this list, started low, and has risen all the way to the top 4. So yeah, shout out to him.
Shout out to Rev. Top 3. Who's it gonna be?
3, pick number 3, my lord.
If I remember right, I don't think the top 3 changed.
Oh,
Red XC, staying the same. TDB picked up the win. Do they play LE next week?
They play us next week.
We play OSGA next week. Or this. I meant this coming week, tomorrow.
Oh, they play Hydro Pump tomorrow, or unless they got.
Okay.
Let me see. Yeah, they play Hydro Pump tomorrow, and then they play us next week. So.
Okay.
And then we play OSGA, so potentially still the same 3-4 next week. Potentially, we'll see.
Potentially.
So it'll be a banger series next week, but I don't think it's a knock that Red XC's 3 instead of 1 or 2. It's more of just the people above them are winning games and playing well also. So it's just top 3 is going to be very tough to get into.
Yeah, I mean,
or move around in.
When the people above you are playing well and not losing, it's tough to jump. So, speaking of the people above them, number 2, he can get that tattooed on his chest because he's been number 2 pretty much this whole season. Koi no Yokon. I don't know. Makes the team go. Has looked good. Just can't get the number 1 spot from Latex, who's had it ever since the preseason.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Of course, OTL though still has at least one tough matchup. They played PLW.
I don't think so.
If they can figure it out, if PLW can figure it out.
Yeah, true.
And OTLO has the free win last series, so I don't think it's impossible for them to jump. I think even if the top 3 people win out, which we hope they don't because we play at least one of them, but if they do, I don't think it's impossible for people to swap around or jump up. I don't think the gap is super big. But yeah, sticking at number 2, solid player for their team.
It's tough, dude. Koi, if you wanted number 1, you should have just been in Sector 2. I don't know what to tell you.
Just play more Nocturne. I mean, played 2 carry champs.
Yeah.
Diana and the
They
Nocturne.
they were talking about how NLE does not ever want to see Koi on junglers ever again. So,
Junglers?
or junglers, tank junglers.
No more junglers for Koi.
No more junglers for Koi. Only carries. Number one, I mean, it's latex. What can you say, dude? I only imagined with the roster changes that our roster gets stronger, but
Yeah. Assume so. Of course, didn't play the strongest opponent, but doesn't really matter. Did well once again, back-to-back J4 games, I think.
yeah.
I mean, and played well. I mean, ton of damage that game too. So yeah, I would think that a mid swap, especially if it's some conflicting reasons, that your jungler only does better with a better mid lane. So yeah, be tough to knock latex monkey nuts off the top.
Not possible. We'll see.
Possible.
They can always slip up. But that is the individual power rankings for all the roles. How much time we got? Do we have enough to go speed run?
We got time.
We got time. Let's do it. Team rankings. Here we go. Number 13. Don't expect a change.
That's right. That's
for this
bad. That's
team.
bad luck, man. It's bad luck.
No, I'm just saying for this week.
No, I mean, yeah, I'm saying it's bad luck to rank our opponent.
I rank our opponent number 13.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just been a tough season for Avalanche.
Yeah, tough season. I think they're one of the lower overall ranked, from a player ranking perspective. So they're of course playing up, but I mean they have to take a win or at least take a game. Have they taken a game? Maybe.
I mean, you really can't sleep on this team because, like, I still remember when they took TFF to the wire, even though it was an 0-2.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I'm not. I said at the very beginning, I'm not acting like this is just some free win or nothing. So.
No, I know. I think for Avalanche, like, I think that week was full of promise, and then just racking up the losses without picking up a win, is tough. And I think, like, you can always approach like new week, new season kind of thing, like, but when like, yeah, we've lost like 7, 8 in a row, it's tough. HP Blacktip, number 12, the lowest that they've been, for sure. Since their week 1 win, have only picked up 2 game wins and a whole lot of losses.
Yeah, just a team that it seems like they have pieces and they have potential, but I don't know. They can't seem to put it together. They were 12th last week, but of course they were high very beginning of the season and then just slowly dropping. Be probably tough to drop to 13, respectfully. But yeah, I don't know. It just seems like they are almost there. They just can't figure it out.
When do Avalanche and HPB play, or have they already played?
Surely they have not played. OSGA plays.
Oh, that was the first week. That was the week that HPB ran house.
Okay. I guess that makes sense. Okay, so maybe that was just
might
inflated.
be impossible to go lower than 13, depending on how the rest of the season goes. But oh, they were 12 last week. I don't know what I'm talking about. Either way,
that's okay.
Number 11, DP was number 10 last week. Didn't pick up the win, and I believe the person that was ranked below them did. So that makes sense.
I'm trying.
Still winless.
I'm trying to rank DPH a little higher. I don't know, 11. I get it. It's it makes sense on paper. It just feels like they're one something away. They're one something away from jumping up a couple spots. But yeah, until they do it, it's just coulda, woulda, shoulda. So
yeah, these aren't future power rankings. These are the right now, the present.
This is what happened. So.
Number 10, top 10.
Top 10.
Moving up. OSG Sub-Zero.
Whoa. No.
Oh, just kidding. Sorry, I apologize.
I checked to see if I had the right thing. You liar.
10. 10 is veracity. Sorry, I jumped the gun.
You're a liar. Drop down
So
3 spots.
3 spots, which is, I mean, it's tough. At the same time, full transparency. Uh, Stats have them at 8, so not far off stats ranking.
Ooh.
And then I think it's just, what have you done for me lately? And the answer is not a whole lot. We talked about like quality wins. Hasn't really happened for veracity. So I don't know. What can you?
Yeah,
What can you do?
It feels like if they would have gotten the win over BLM, they'd be sitting decent in the middle of the pack, at least for the rankings. I mean, 1-2 wins, not the biggest loss in the world, but yeah, I mean, no real quality wins. It just seems like they haven't been able to figure it out. They're of course in Sector 2, so they have plenty opportunities to make playoffs and do all that fun stuff. Just gonna fall to 10 for this week.
Yeah, they've only beaten DPH. Now that I look at it, because they got the free win from CEW. So
Yeah.
number 9, it's Roar, dropping from 8. I don't know. Jury
Gotta
saw it.
buy.
They've only beaten one team, and that's the number 12 team on the screen. So they
Yeah.
had a bye. They dropped 1. Could they climb up? Yes.
Yeah, because some of these teams play each other. So
Gonna be real honest. Unless a team upsets OTLO in Sector 2, I don't see how they crap top 5. Any Sector 2 team, but we'll see. We'll see.
Oh, okay. Other than OTLO, Kraken top 5, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, like
that makes
unless they
sense.
upset OTLO, maybe you could
That'd
be like, ooh.
That'd be crazy. That'd be crazy, but
But I don't know. It's gonna
doubt
be
it.
tough.
Doubt it.
Roar number 9 gonna have a new roster, so their undefeated roster not gonna make a reappearance, at least not yet. Problem Lives Matter number 8 getting the win against Veracity, did move up a spot, flip flopped with Roar.
They climbed 1 spot, so
Yep.
1 win and you jump. I guess technically they jumped 2 teams, but somebody jumped them, I guess. So 8 feels right, middle of the pack, middle.
What rank is this team? I don't know what you mean by that.
I mean, it's tough because of sectors. I guess if you were to combine them, it's tough. They're seed number 2 in Sector 2, but they're tied for
What, are they
5th
talking
seed
like?
if they were.
They talking like individual rankings? I mean, the number 8 is right there on the screen.
Nah.
So I don't know. I don't know what the question is. Gonna have to clarify.
Unless he's talking about us, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, BLM. I mean, tied for 2nd seed in Sector 2. You'd be tied for 5th, Sector 1, but I don't know.
It's just a league. Yeah. Well, we're not a league, but we're a team in a league. We're just doing a power ranking. So, anyways, I'm getting distracted. Number 8, Problem Lives Matter. Number 7, OSGS. I don't know why I thought they were at 10. They picked up the win against the Avalanche, just dropped themselves up from number 11. Which, I mean, I wouldn't say picking up a win against OSGA is a quality win. It is a Sector 1 team, albeit the only winless team. And if you look at the ranking, like the actual standings, it's I mean, they're number 2 right now, aren't they?
Yeah, they're number 2. I mean, obviously tied with BLM.
BLM.
I don't know if they've played, but I don't know. Sub-Zero seems like kind of a sneaky good team, in my opinion. Granted, I don't think they have the quality wins to back that up, but seems like it. They're just under the radar.
I mean, they have just as good of an opportunity to be a sneaky team as any Sector 2 team does. So, right there with Problem Lives Matter, kind of reflecting of the standings.
Yeah, potential. Well, hopefully not, but I guess
by any team, I mean any team other than Dropping Point.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Dropping Point or RAR, one of them are gonna make a run. We'll see.
One of them. We'll see.
I think Sub-Zero's
Who'd
chilling for
you
the playoff.
who did you vote for in Raw in your predictions?
I don't know who they playing.
They're playing
I didn't.
DPH.
Yeah, I picked DPH.
Oh,
I think that was the one I picked DPH 2-0. I think.
You picked TVH 2-0, which means Roar's gonna win, right? Because every time you
Yeah,
go against
maybe.
Roar, they win.
Sorry, DPH. It's on me.
Anyways, bottom of the top half, number 6,
TFF.
TFF.
They were 5 last week, so just dropping 1 after the loss to TD.
Yep. I could talk a little bit about them more when we talk about some of these other teams, but one drop after a loss, a close loss, really isn't anything to be so hung up about. I think these guys are pretty good, which is why you see them at number 6.
Yeah, and of course, like most Sector 1, pretty much all tied-ish, so...
Yep.
And then we play them in 2 weeks, 3 games from now, so... Our last regular season game, so that'll be a good one. Moving
Number
on
5.
to the top 5. Top 5, despite back-to-back 0-2 losses.
So they did drop 2 spots, I believe.
Yep.
Here's where I wanted to talk a little about TFF. Could you argue that it being power rankings, looking at both these teams right now, TFF should be 5 and Plasma be 6? Potentially, but Plasma does have the head-to-head win.
I mean,
It'll be like a new roster, so I don't know.
I would say that because that's exactly how I ranked them on my list, is TFF 5, PLW 6. So that's what I was thinking. I might have went back and forth on it, but I mean, you can't overlook the fact that PLW is changing some things around. So
they are changing some things around, and I will say stats have PLW 5 and have TFF 7.
Okay.
So
it makes sense how they landed, but right next to each
they're
other
close.
makes sense.
Yeah.
And top 6 makes sense. Just kind of a question mark after last week. I wouldn't even maybe say that about TFF. They played against a really good team.
Yeah, I know. So I mean, like you if you're TFF, you're a TFF fan, you could argue and say we should still have stayed number 5. It's just the previous week, PLW was 3, they lost. TFF was 5, they lost. So it's like, I don't know. It's tough. Alrighty. Number 4, TD Blessed. Moving on up. Was number 6 last week.
Yeah, it's even for. I mean, obviously when you get to the top 6, it's all like the same-ish tier. It feels like, really for all 6, but I don't know. You can make the argument one way or the other. TD at 4. I mean, beating TFF, who's top 6 team for sure, in my opinion, feels low because the quality win. But
I mean, it was quality win.
Teams.
They jumped two teams that both lost.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of, are they ranked? Should they be ranked higher than the teams they haven't faced? Stats say no, and they haven't played, so it's tough to justify maybe flip-flopping some of us around. But I think 4 is a really good spot, to be honest. I mean,
yeah, I agree, and yeah, it's tough to jump teams when you haven't actually played them, type of thing, if they're winning.
Yeah. Speaking of teams that haven't played, number 3, NLE. I don't believe has played TD. I think that's like their last week game or something.
Yeah.
NLE did rise in the rankings, was number 4 last week. Rising up to 3 after a solid performance.
Yeah, they do play each other last week, so that'd be interesting if that ends up deciding, I don't know, something important. I guess I think everybody's going to make the playoffs regardless, or at least the play-ins, but it might bump somebody into that 4 spot to where they have to fight for the rights to playoffs. So
if what we're assuming is correct, you definitely want to be number 4 in instead of number 5, because number 4 you means you play the number 5 seed of Sector 2, which is I think is way more
Oh, I wasn't
enviable
even thinking that actually. I
than.
was thinking 4 or 5 play-in was same sector, which
No, I think they might be cross. I don't know.
interesting. Okay, yeah,
In my mind, it makes sense that they're crossed.
yeah. No, I didn't even think about that. I was thinking about cross for actual playoffs, but I wasn't even thinking about that for.
Maybe they don't do it for
Oh,
play-in. But if you're a Sector 1 team, you definitely want that 4 seed regardless. I mean, if it's the same sector, then it doesn't really matter as much. You just want to
yeah,
get
that's why.
the
Yeah.
3 seed. But if it's cross, then you definitely want that 4 seed.
But I mean,
So,
do you? I mean, is the 4th and 5th seed in sector 2? Is there going to be really a big difference?
I mean, it just depends. Like, potentially, right? Like, if you're looking at the standings right now, it'd be Veracity. Um, but there's always a chance that it could be BLM or it could be
That's true.
or like
A lot of movement still.
Roar or something. And if you're the 5th seed, you're looking at, you know, potentially one of the better Sector 2 teams. Like, if you think Sector 2 sucks, then yeah, it doesn't really matter. But there's always a chance that you could get an unlucky cross sector draw. It could be Sub-Zero. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
Number 2, top 2, no movement. Rivals
I see some
picked up
bias
the dub.
before. This is movement, right? No, we weren't 2 last
No,
time.
we were 2 last
What?
week.
We doing some bias, man. That's crazy.
Yeah, you can argue, just like we were talking about, like NLE picked up the dub. Should it be flip flopped?
Nah, top 3 changed. But Italy was 4. They jumped up. Didn't jump up. Didn't jump us because we beat what was the number 3 team. So I think it makes sense.
Yeah, and the thing is, like power rankings, all the like traditional sports leagues. It's like, what have you done for me lately? I mean, other than OTLO, I would argue there's been no hotter team than Rivals after losing their first series, haven't lost one since. Would be the second longest winning streak in the
Yeah, true.
league. So
Makes sense. Makes sense to me, but you know.
we gotta justify it for all these people that
Yeah,
think we're
no. I
biased.
mean, I think the top 4 could have been pretty flipped around, and then I think 5 and 6 could have been flipped around either
What do you
way.
mean top 4? You mean 2
Oh,
through
top
4?
2, 3, 4. Yeah, sorry. yeah. Sorry. I think 2, 3, and 4 could have been kind of either way, and it like makes sense. I think 1's pretty clear cut, and then 5th and 6th could have been flipped either way. But yeah, I mean that's just sector 1 stack.
Yeah. And then of course OTLO, not relinquishing their number 1 spot, took care of business in their matchup last week. I mean, to be honest, like the question remains: if OTLO is in Sector 1, how well would they be doing, week in and week out? But the fact remains they are in Sector 2. I don't expect them to drop another game. The jury, I mean, it depends on what Plasma Wolves ends up looking like, right?
Yeah, it's up to
But
them.
outside of that, like it's gonna be tough to think that OTL is ever gonna drop a game. And if you never drop a game and you look good when you win, it's tough to flip flop that, right?
Yeah.
Now, could you say, like we were talking about quality wins? Could you say like, oh, OTL's only quality win, the 2 that they're gonna pick up is Plasma Wolves, and Plasma Wolves might not look that good by the end of the season? I mean, I think then the question is how well are they actually gonna do in playoffs. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think if OTLO loses the next time around to Plasma Wolves, then it's well, did they beat Plasma Wolves whenever they started kind of their Tilt Fest downfall situation they had going on? But if OTLO beats them, even if it's 2-1 or 2-0, then I think we say that's quality wins, or we just say Plasma Wolves fell off. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. I mean,
I
Plasma
don't
Wolves
know.
could just lose out, right? Like
Yeah,
that's the thing.
We'll see.
So
Playoffs, we won't really know till playoffs, and I don't think OTLO is gonna drop from the number 1 spot. But we'll have to see.
I mean, there could be an upset, but if they take care of business, that's their spot until till playoffs happens. There's your list. We hope you enjoyed. I don't know. I don't got much else to say. Oh, the
I
2v2
assume
thing.
I assume we're streaming, having our game stream tomorrow night, and then more to come on our 2v2 rivals tournament that we'll be hosting, but it should be March 14th, Little St. Patty's 2v2 action.
Yeah, the format. I think we're going to add soon. I'll just say this: the format will depend on how many people are interested. If we don't get enough people, then I guess we won't do it. So
I believe.
either way, that's it. That's the stream.
Yep.
Get out of here.
Until next time.
Till next time.